welcome to Flow Tricks. My name is Ken and I am releasing one video every day for the next 10 days. I'm gonna give you some advice as to using your non-dominant hand. Advice number one is that you should almost always try to integrate your non-dominant hand with your right hand or with your dominant hand to start with. Do you see how I incorporate both hands? This makes it a little bit easier of a transition if you can use both hands, because if one hand's kind of slacking, the other can kind of make up for it. Also, this is why I really like rips, because it involves both your hands. Like, wrist rolls are awesome, don't get me wrong, but if you get too used to it, this hand just kind of sits here and does nothing. Whereas with rips, you're always having something integrated. You can have a timer. Your timer could say, I need to switch hands every three to 5 seconds. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then switch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, switch 1. So that way, on a timer, you can make sure that both hands are getting equal training. If you can do it with your right hand, do it with your left. Now, I feel like this can sometimes create a lot of unnecessary motion. And what I mean by that is, if your right hand can do it, there's no point, in my opinion, in learning it with your left hand unless you're doing turns, or if you just want to create variety, or if you just want to be a balanced spinner. But in my opinion, if you learn it with your right or your left, I'm usually only learning it both sides if I'm trying to basically do turns or do something where I'm mirroring. So here I can do it on both sides, which will allow me to do this combo. It'll also allow me to do turns. But my general rule is I don't know all the moves with my non-dominant hand that I do with my dominant. And the moves that I do teach my non-dominant hand are usually different. And this is just my personal opinion, but I find that if you teach your left hand different tricks than you teach your right hand, then when your left hand grabs it, you're gonna have more variety, you're gonna have more arsenal than if you did both tricks with both hands. So if I'm just doing figure eight wrist rolls and I'm really good with figure eight wrist rolls, well, the natural flow will just be more figure eight wrist rolls on both sides, which is beautiful, again, if you're turning, because you need to know both directions, both hands with wrist rolls. But at the same time, if I'm doing this motion and I switch over to this motion, I find it's a lot less interesting than if I went from this motion and then just turned it into, you know, like something more unique or some sort of new variety, so to speak. So my opinion is to always keep variety. And this is just a flavor thing, but I basically say learn different moves with your both your hands, unless you're doing turning or you need to do some sort of mirroring. Again, like wrist rolls are big and important, but with the extra fancy moves especially, I prefer to have different arsenals. People ask me, well, how do I get better with my other hand? A lot. And I'm gonna be honest, you just do it. There's no magic bullet. You have to just train it. So I will say this though, one thing that might make your training a little bit easier with your non-dominant hand is simply watching a TV show or doing something, I want to say mindless. You're gonna do corrections, minor corrections, so your focus is gonna be a little bit on your non-dominant chuck, but basically, you know, eating cereal, this is really good, you know, drinking my coffee drink, really good. Actually, if you can do that, you're set, man, you're gold. Woo! Anyway, that actually is another practice for your dominant hand more so, but basically, if you're watching TV or listening to the radio, just kind of get your mind off of it a little bit, because sometimes you just have to relax your brain. So get the focus in, work it hard, and then relax, put on a movie, and get your training in that way. Just remember, you got to put in the time. Even if your brain knows what your right hand can do, it's still your muscles have to learn it too. So on your left hand, just watch a show and just keep it going. The last bit of advice that I can say is, I'm not gonna say you should hurt yourself, but my left got so much better the moment I dislocated my shoulder. And that's a horrible thing, because I was out of commission for quite a while with my right. But what it did was it forced me to use my left. So as much as it hurts, have a training session where you tie that arm behind your back and you just work your left. Now, it's easy when you're training to just work on tricks, but really work the flow of it, because your right hand or your dominant hand will probably always be better than your other hand. So you're not trying to catch this up, but what you are trying to do is integrate it more so it can at least be fluid. So really work the flow of this. I would actually say the flow might be slightly more important than the tricks with your non-dominant hand. because you want to exchange to it and keep it fluid, but you don't necessarily need to do the most coordinated. You don't need to catch this up, because the time that it would take for you to do a more awesome move with this hand compared to this hand may not be worth the work. Now that's totally up to you, but this is how I see it. Again, right hand or whatever your dominant hand is, have the best tricks you can possibly do. Left hand, have a few extra tricks and have some new moves. Keep it nice and fluid and really work on a strong flow with the left hand, but it doesn't need to be as fancy. Anyways, I hope this helps, and maybe this will help you work both hands a little bit more. I've got a lot more videos, and again, thank you everyone for donating to my Patreon. I really appreciate that. I mean, that's really the only birthday present I'm asking for this year. Everyone that asks me, that's all I'm telling them. Patreon, 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 because this is what I want to do. I just want to make my living teaching nunchucks to everyone and building the community. So anyways, thank you again, you guys, and I will be releasing a video every day for the next 10 days. I hope you enjoy.